After returning to the country, I saw that John had another woman by his side. I felt a dark jealousy creeping inside me. I pressed him against the back seat and kissed him wildly, he said. No manners. Later, when he saw me kissing another man, he pinned me against the wall with red eyes. You are mine, in the back seat of the Maybach. John was pressed by me against the seat as I kissed him wildly. Ivy. He tried to push me away. I clung to him like a koala, refusing to let go. I had missed him day and night for 3 years. How could I possibly let go? After a few dozen seconds, I was satisfied. Finally, I bit his lip as punishment before stopping. John's face darkened. No manners. Sit properly. He pressed me back into the seat, took out a silk handkerchief from his suit pocket, and wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. John, you've lost weight. Have you not been eating well? John, who was that woman just now? John didn't answer, hiding the soiled handkerchief back in his pocket. Then John took out 2 tissues and wiped his own lips clean. Why did you come back? Just as I was about to answer, a glamorous woman appeared outside the car window. Knocked. It was the woman who had been talking to John earlier. John glanced at my somewhat disheveled shirt, took off his coat, and threw it over me. Instantly, everything went dark. John's warm breath enveloped me. I stuck out my tongue and licked it. It was a familiar scent. Don't make a sound. His hand on the seat pressed down on the back of my hand. Full of warning, John slowly rolled down the car window. John, get in. The woman glanced in my direction. Who is this? My niece. She's too rowdy and just fell asleep. Asleep. I wasn't asleep, but I would be eventually. The woman laughed and teased. I thought she was your little lover. Say more. I love hearing it. I pulled off the coat and happened to meet John's gaze as he turned around. There were still a few shallow tooth marks on his lips from my bite. I grinned wickedly at him. John frowned, ignoring him. I turned around and called out to the woman. Hello, ma'am. While John was looking at me, the woman gave me an unfriendly once-over. Her eyes were filled with thick jealousy and hatred, completely pulled down my suit jacket. John, or should I call her ma'am? When the two of them saw my swollen lips, they were both agitated. John used his body to block me. I deliberately leaned on John's shoulder to provoke the woman outside the car. Ma'am, are you my uncle's girlfriend? The woman said no with an ugly expression. Ma'am, do you want to sit in my spot? But I don't want to give it up. I just want to sit next to my uncle. You won't get mad, will you? John turned around again to warn me. I looked at the woman's somewhat twisted face, then I smiled at John, then buried my face in the back of his head and stopped talking, playing with the palm he used to restrain me. His large hand tightly enveloped mine. I felt completely satisfied. Just like that, I obediently let John handle me. The kid just got back, jet-lagged. Don't mind her. No problem. And thank you for the ride, John. John got out of the car and closed the door tightly, pressed against the car window to listen to their conversation. Sophia, I've called another car for you. John, the first. Get in the car. We're not suitable. I'll explain it to the family. John returned to the car. I grabbed his arm. John, did you come specifically to pick me up today? No. I came to pick up my blind date. But you picked me up. So that means it's me. Ivy. He was being insincere. Fine. I shrugged. I plunged my head into John's lap, hugged his knee, and fell asleep. John, I missed you so much. John's raised hand slowly lowered. The suit jacket enveloped me again, flepped all the way to the doorstep when John carried me out of the car. I woke up, he said in a deep voice. Sleep. The next second, the phone rang. It was a message from Mrs. Wilson. Learning that I had returned, Mrs. Wilson invited me to a family dinner. Only when I went did I understand. It was a matchmaking dinner specifically arranged for John. Followed behind John, was just about to sit next to John when Sophie called out to me. I walked over, and Sophia pulled me aside, asking all sorts of questions. John and I ended up miles apart. The blind date was still that aunt from earlier. At the table, she kept competing with me. I wanted to take some sweet and sour pork. But she kept spinning the lazy Susan to block me, just as I was about to give up. The sweet and sour pork stopped right in front of me. Looking perfectly juicy, I looked up and saw John manipulating it behind the scenes. He glanced at me and continued chatting calmly with others. I quickly grabbed a piece. Suddenly, a woman steered the conversation toward me, Smith's daughter, Ivy. This is Aunt Emily. Aunt Em. The Smith family's illegitimate daughter. Sophia immediately defended me. Emily. Adults' issues shouldn't be dragged onto children. Did I say something wrong? Her mother was just a mistress who ruined others. Enough. John stood up angrily. Emily. Sophia was thoroughly enraged too. Ivy has done nothing wrong here. Demand you apologize to Ivy right now. The scene instantly turned chaotic. John had somehow made his way to my side, he said. Ivy is a part of our Wilson family today, and always will be, from now on. Anyone who speaks a word against her is an enemy of the Wilson family. Sophia took my hand. This marriage discussion is over. John. Let's go. She pulled me toward the exit. John's hawk-like eyes fixed on the people at the table, announced that Wilson family will completely terminate all cooperation with Brown family, effective immediately and permanently. You. John. Mom. Look what you've done. Aunt Sophia. Thank you for earlier. Ivy. I'm so sorry about today. I planned a warm celebration for your return. But it all went wrong. Aunt Sophia. I'm fine. I couldn't read Aunt Sophia. She cared for me, yet seemed to dislike me a little. I'd never forget her kindness to me. I never dared act out in front of her, afraid of hurting her feelings. I planned to take a taxi back to the villa myself, but Aunt Sophia suggested we go together. I didn't refuse along the way. She asked how I'd been abroad. If I'd suffered any hardships. Said I'd lost weight. And told the housekeeper to make me some nourishing soup. Honestly, if it weren't for that incident back then, Aunt Sophia and I were as close as mother and daughter. The Wilson family's two villas stood side by side. The elders lived in one, and John lived in the other. John had lived with his grandparents since childhood, but after they passed away one after another, he became distant from people. Mr. and Mrs. Lynn watched as John and I entered the villa together, saying nothing at all. John. I hesitated about going in with him. John opened the door and let me enter first, stopped hesitating and slipped right in. That evening, a torrential downpour began. John had something to do and went out. I waited for him by the main gate. When John returned, I had fallen asleep leaning against the wall. John placed me on the bed, covered me with the quilt, and was about to leave. Outside, thunder rumbled several times. I hugged John. John. I'm scared. John looked into my teary eyes, neither saying he would leave nor stay. He just kept stroking the back of my head, like when I was little. After a long while, he suddenly asked, "Why did you come back?" "Because of you, Ivy." John. These past 3 years alone abroad have been terrible for me. Have nightmares every day, dreaming you abandoned me. Why didn't you visit me even once? Am I really that annoying? Are you going to send me away again? John raised his hand to wipe the tears from my face. Ivy, don't cry. I hadn't heard that address in 3 years. Hearing it again, those sealed memories slowly unfolded before my eyes. I am the illegitimate daughter of the Smith family, since childhood. I've been unwelcome, bullied by the brothers and sisters at home, neglected by the elders, and mistreated by the servants every day. I didn't have enough to eat or wear that year when I was starving the most. I was drawn to a plate of beautiful pastries outside the Wilson family gate. The young man reading handed me the entire plate. "Thank you, brother." The next day at a family gathering, I learned his name was John Wilson, as the youngest son of the Wilson family. I should call him uncle from then on, like a loyal puppy. I waited outside the Wilson family gate every day. John not only prepared many pastries and milk for me but also helped me with my homework. Back then, John was in college and only came home on weekends.At first. I didn't know his schedule. I just waited stubbornly outside. I did my homework while waiting for John.At sunset on a Friday. John, returning from school, found me curled up outside the gate. He tried to wake me, but my eyelids felt as heavy as mountains. And I couldn't open them at all. Only when John took me to the hospital did I realize I had a high fever. John stayed by my bedside in the ward all night. When I woke up, I gave him the flower I'd been clutching tightly. John, the first wanted to give this to you on Monday. But you weren't there. It was the best, most beautiful rose I'd ever grown. But it had already withered and turned brown. Plop. Plop. I started crying again. Thank you, Ivy. I love it. John held the dried orange rose to his nose and inhaled deeply for several seconds. Only then did my sorrow ease bit by bit. After that, the family's attitude toward me superficially improved slightly. Also received a phone. John said that I could call him if anything happened in the future. That night, I memorized John's phone number by heart. Gradually, I could see John almost every day. I could come and go freely in the Wilson family, even had my own room in their house. It was as if I were one of them. The members of the Wilson family all liked me very much. John was indulgent yet strict with me. John told me, Ivy, you should go see the world outside in the future. Ivy, if no one loves you, you should love yourself well. I know someone loves me. Later, adolescent feelings erupted, and I began to pour out my feelings for John in my diary. One day, when the aunt was cleaning my room, she saw my diary. Somehow, overnight, things spiraled out of control. Some people said John was a pervert. Some said that at such a young age, I didn't study well and was seducing John. Hearing others say a single bad word about me, John got very angry. The maid was fired, and many collaborations of the Smith family were terminated. The Smith family suffered heavy losses, and everyone in the family kept silent. In the evening, when I brought John milk, I accidentally overheard his conversation with his mother. John, although this matter has temporarily calmed down, we can't stop public gossip. It's better to send Ivy back. I disagree, Mother. Sending Ivy back at this time, do you know what she will face? But you're still unmarried. How will others think of you? Mother, I'm fine. What matters is Ivy. She's still so young. I don't want her to be disturbed by these baseless things these days. She has endured a lot of unfair treatment at school, and she often has nightmares at night. I feel so sorry for her. Classmates at school kept spreading rumors. All the students isolated me. I wasn't afraid, but I didn't like them saying bad things about John. I beat up those who badmouthed me fiercely. The teacher asked me to call my parents. I didn't call. Later, when it was very late, the teacher finally let me go. When John arrived, he looked me over from head to toe and asked, "Were you bullied?" I smiled and shook my head. As long as I could see John every day, I was very satisfied. I feel sorry too, but Mother, I plan to arrange for Ivy to go abroad, change the environment, so she can focus on her studies. That's good. Ivy has suffered a lot. I didn't hear a word of what followed. John was going to send me away. I silently left the Smith family, ignoring the constant vibration of the phone in my pocket. I sat alone by the riverside crying. John quickly found me. Ivy. John, the first don't want to go abroad. I threw myself into John's arms. This is for your own good. John, I like you. I don't want to leave you. Please don't send me away. Okay, Ivy. You should go see the world outside. You shouldn't be confined to this small corner of the world. John, don't abandon me. I only have you. Don't abandon me, Ivy. I'm not abandoning you. After graduation, if you want to come back, come back. The Wilson family will always be your home. I will always be your John. On the way back, it suddenly started pouring rain. John took off his jacket and put it over my head. He came across a large puddle, and John crouched down to carry me on his back. I don't want to. there's a ghost behind us. John laughed in exasperation. He scooped me up in his arms, held the jacket up to shield us from the rain. I don't need it. I stubbornly insisted on shielding John. To make it easier for me. John lifted me with one arm. I was sitting in his arms. The black baseball jacket covering my head. I looked down at him. At some point, John's face had turned red while waiting at a red light. John looked up at me. My eyes met John's, and our breathing became ragged. It was unclear who moved first, him or me, or if we both leaned in. The rain was pouring down, but the world felt so quiet that I could hear our two hearts drawing closer when we were about to kiss. John pulled away. My lips landed on his burning ear. After the bath, John brought me ginger tea. John, have you had some? I've had some. I downed the ginger tea in one gulp. John urged me to go to sleep quickly. I lay in bed. John tucked me in. John, will you forget me? No. Will you fall for someone else? John remained silent. You can't like anyone else. I took his hand and bit his wrist hard. 2 neat rows of teeth marks. John didn't make a sound, only secretly teared up. After I fell asleep, John leaned down and kissed my forehead. Ivy, I want you to be well. I actually wasn't asleep at all. So when John turned around, I opened my eyes. I kept touching that spot on my skin. John's lips were warm and soft, like sweet cotton candy. Actually, I've been thinking a lot lately. I don't want John to suffer any harm. If my leaving could resolve all of this, then I would leave without hesitation, although it was difficult for me. I left very early the next day. At that time, John hadn't gotten up yet. I went to his room and sat for a while, tracing from his brow bone to the tip of his nose, then to his lips. I gazed at his lips for a long, long time, so long that I forgot whether I kissed him or not. Hadn't slept all night. Ivy came in just as I closed my eyes. She said many things to me, telling me not to forget her. How could I forget her? Every day, she was like a little sun, lighting up my barren life. Then, a warmth touched my lips. When I opened my eyes again, Ivy had left. I raised my hand and touched something wet and salty. It was Ivy's tears. That moment, my heart felt as if it had been thrown into an abyss, falling endlessly. I hurriedly chased after her. Ivy had already gotten into the car, quietly followed behind and called the driver. Ivy was crying. I felt a bit regretful and began to waver. Had I hurt Ivy? Would she be scared going to such a far place alone? She's actually very sensitive. She loves rainy days but is afraid of thunder. When we arrived at the airport, Ivy kept looking back. Tears blurred her vision. I knew she was looking for me. How I wanted to rush over and hug her. My nails dug deep marks into the seat. I couldn't stand in her way because she trusted me so much. From the car, I watched the hope in her eyes fade away bit by bit. The boarding announcement said her flight had already taken off. As if waking from a dream, I pulled open the car door and ran into the airport terminal. The vast, desolate terminal was already empty of her figure. Tears fell, and my heart fell with them, feeling numb and empty, as if dead. When I woke up, it was already the next day. John had left at some point last night. John had coaxed me to sleep and sat in my room for a long time, smelling his scent. I always slept very soundly. I end my drowsiness. I seemed to hear John say, "Ivy, I miss you too." When I went downstairs, John was reading by the window. On the table was the breakfast he had made: steamed egg custard, cheese bread, and warm milk. I ate while watching him. This scene was familiar, yet it had been 3 years. At that time, I often got cheese on my face. John tirelessly wiped it off for me. Just like now, he, who had been sitting far away reading a book, came over at some point without me noticing, leaned down, and wiped the cheese off the tip of my nose. He clearly wasn't looking at me, yet he knew me so well. John. I looked up at him, unaware that there was a ring of milk stain around the corner of my mouth. John's hand moved down, gently tracing my lips. I saw that bite mark on him that should have faded but instead deepened for some reason. Does it hurt? John, I am sorry. I sometimes think I'm a bit crazy. I don't want to hurt him, but I like to possess him in extreme ways. John sat down opposite me. instead of answering my question. He asked me what my plans were next to John. The first want to join the company, nonsense. Ivy. Aren't you fond of painting? Painting is just a hobby. And besides, being an architect isn't straying from the path, is it? I don't agree, sorry. John. I've already received the offer. The next day, I was late for work. I asked John to wait for me. He left without a word. I dawdled for 10 minutes. Finished breakfast. And went out. John's Maybach was still steadily parked at the door. John. Your bow tie is crooked. I helped John straighten it out and deliberately touched his Adam's apple ivy. John's ears turned red. As soon as we entered the company. Many pretty women stared at John intently. Deliberately raised my hand to fix John's hair. John shot me a glance, ran off to press the elevator button. John and I got into the elevator first. Then many others came in. I was squeezed into a corner. John raised his hand to shield me behind him. I took small steps moving toward him. There wasn't much work in the morning. Went to call John for lunch, but unexpectedly, he was flirting with a female colleague in the office. I went up and pulled them apart. What are you doing? Who are you? The woman asked me. I kissed John. Veins throbbed on John's head. He is mine. I shielded John behind me. You go out first. Yes. Mr. Wilson. The woman left hesitantly, after the door closed. I straddled John's lap. John. What were you doing just now? Get off. I won't get off unless you tell me, Ivy. Then kiss me. This is at the office. So. Can we kiss if it's not at the office? Get off. I stubbornly clung to his neck, staring at him with tears threatening to fall. John sighed. She just came to have me sign some documents. Oh. I quickly kissed John on the cheek. John pushed me away mercilessly. John. Let's go eat. In the evening. John had a business dinner. When he returned, he carried a faint scent of alcohol. I made him a bowl of hangover cure, thinking of what happened during the day. I felt an indescribable restlessness inside. Changed into a camisole and went to John's room. He glanced at me once and never raised his head again. Keeping his eyes fixed on the documents in his hand, I walked over, took away his papers, and sat on his lap. John tried to push me away, but I was quick and hugged his neck first. John. Do you want me? I had deliberately sprayed on seductive perfume. He frowned deeply. Who taught you this? John. The first like you. I want you. Let's do it. He pressed me onto the sofa. His eyes bloodshot as he looked at me. Ivy. Do you know what you're doing? I know. John. The first love you. Let's be together. He hesitated, emotions flickering in his eyes. We can't. Why can't we? I am your uncle, but not by blood. Ivy. John was angry. He threw a coat at me and turned to leave. I was a bit sad. I had gone this far, and he was still unmoved. Could it be that he really didn't like me? That was a pity. I could only resort to a coercive relationship. John went to sleep in the study and even locked the door from inside, waited outside his door and eventually fell asleep. Finally, he carried me, with my hands and feet icy cold, back to the bedroom. Uncle. Good morning, John Wilson, who was having breakfast, was kissed by me under his stern gaze. I became even more determined about my plan. Familiarity breeds affection. Spending more time together naturally builds feelings, but my plan quickly fell apart. John started avoiding me. At noon, I went to find him for lunch, but he wasn't there. In the evening after work, he was out for business dinners. Calls went unanswered, and his assistant stayed tight-lipped. I couldn't find him at all. After a week, I felt like I was dying. So I sent a message to John. John. I'm hurt. In less than 15 minutes, John came back. Ivy. Is deceiving others fun? I'm sorry, John. The first won't do this anymore. Or anything like it. Please don't ignore me. I'm scared. I was truly scared, more than wanting John. I feared he would hate me and abandon me. So I turned over a new leaf, stopped teasing John and deliberately kept my distance, in public and private. I behaved properly and kept to myself. On this day, the company had a dinner party, during a game I lost. The requirement was to pass a note to a guy. I picked the one closest to me. not caring who it was. Bit onto a note. And moved forward, before I could see the guy's face. The note was snatched by a large-handed John picked up a glass from the table and downed 3 drinks in one go. The game rule was to either drink or complete a specific task. Could have drunk. But I just wanted to see John lose his cool. Everyone thought we were a quarreling couple and started shipping us. John had been attending business dinners for several days. That night, we finally went home together, but once home, I changed into a deep V-neck top, heavy makeup, ripped stockings, and black high heels. Going out. Yeah, where to? Clubbing. Going out so late dressed like that? Yeah, not allowed. John. I'm going with friends. Don't worry. It's fine, Ivy. John grabbed my arm. I teased her a little, but for some reason, it felt sweet to me. John Wilson. I really want to go. And they're going to set me up with someone. John's eyes burned red. No, you're going. Why? I walked step by step toward John. He stepped back step by step until he retreated to the sofa. I sat on his lap, whispered in his ear, John. I'm not looking to play around with others. Am I looking to play around with you? He stared at my quivering lips. His Adam's apple bobbed uncontrollably. His breath drew closer and closer to me. The air around us grew hotter and hotter. The soft sensation was right within reach then. I dodged away. I am tired. John. You should get some rest early. Turning around, I flashed a triumphant smile. Over the weekend, I attended a banquet. I didn't go with John instead. I paid to hire a male model. The male model was very professional. Not only did he give me advice, but he also taught me things. He said that when a man truly likes someone, he can't bear to touch them. For someone like your John, it's even harder to get past that mental barrier. But when it really comes down to losing them, all that is bullshit. So, when John came looking, the male model found the perfect angle, looked down at me, and slowly moved lower. John saw me being covered in the man's arms. His eyes turning red with fury, he grabbed the male model's collar and slammed him hard to the floor. Then he landed several more fierce punches. The male model was experienced, shielding his face firmly. And I desperately tried to stop him, couldn't hold him back at all. John seemed even angrier. He kicked the male model out of the lounge, then he turned and locked the door, pressing me against the wall. He looked at me, his whole body trembling, his hot breath teasing my lips. John. Are you willing to watch the rose you raised kiss someone else and do even more outrageous things? John's eyes seemed ablaze as he pinched my chin and kissed me hard. The more I resisted, the deeper he kissed. I couldn't stand. He pressed close to me, squeezing me between him and the wall, as if he wanted to devour me whole. The banquet ended at some point. Had no idea how I got home. Waking up, I found John and me lying face to face. He traced my eyebrows, nose bridge, and lip pearl. It felt somewhat morbid. I really liked it, John. Before I could finish, John domineeringly cut me off. Later, I planned to transfer money to the male model. Thank you for his great kindness. It was seen by John Wilson angrily. He took away my phone. Ivy. Are you still in touch with him? You hesitated. Yeah. Don't contact him. Why? Because you're mine. Ivy. Is this okay? John. The first love you. John turned me over and over, making love to me vigorously. Late at night, he put the ring he had prepared long ago on my finger. He looked at it again and again, kissed it again and again. I was woken up by him, and he persuaded me to do it again. Afterwards, I remembered. When was the condom prepared? John. Have you been planning this for a long time? Yes. When? When you went abroad. But you never visited me once. I went 57 times. How come I didn't know? I watched from afar each time. Why? I was afraid I might influence your decision. John. You wouldn't influence my decision because you're my lifelong soulmate. John has an orange rose tattooed over his heart. Said it was done the year I left. Back then, as soon as you left, everything felt wrong, and I missed you terribly every day. Did it hurt? I gently touched it. It was exactly like the rose I gave John years ago. I didn't feel any pain at the time. But later, in the dead of night, it would ache faintly. I softly kissed it, suddenly. I remembered something, John. Why is the bite mark on your wrist deeper than the one I gave you back then? I bit it myself, afraid it would fade away every time it almost healed. I bit it again, and watching it bleed actually excited me, as if you were right beside me. That night, I was awakened by a scent of flowers, followed the fragrance to the garden. There, a field of orange roses was in full bloom. The sunset cast its light upon them, making them shine even more brilliantly. John Wilson hugged me from behind. He quietly watched the same sunset sink bit by bit before our eyes. Had watched the sunset many times with John before. He asked me, "Why do you like watching the sunset too?" I'm a restless person, always full of energy every day, but seeing John sitting on the lawn, gazing quietly into the distance, though I didn't quite understand it, I cherished that peace. John said that since his grandparents passed away, no one had watched the sunset with him, experienced the loss of his closest loved ones too early, carrying regret and unresolved feelings in his heart. So when it came to matters involving me, he always deliberated for a long time. Ivy, will you regret this? John, I love you. I don't know how to describe this feeling. You're like a brother, like an elder. But do you know? After my first dream of kissing you, I regretted that it wasn't real. Later, seeing you with other women, I desperately wanted to lock you away. But I was even more afraid you'd hate me or abandon me. Sometimes I felt I was sick, but I truly couldn't control it. When I left, I took one of your shirts with me, and I held it every night to sleep. I listened to you and explored the world, met many people. But I still wanted to stay by your side, John. Our meeting itself is fate, a kind of guidance. The next day, John took me to meet the Wilson family. Mrs. Wilson took my hand and slipped a jade bracelet onto my wrist. Mrs. Wilson, don't call me Aunt. Call me Mom. I glanced at John, wondering what was happening. John came over and patted my head. Mom, yes. Later, Mom told me many things that happened during those 3 years. Truth, it all sounded like one story. John wore a dark expression every day. Mom said that when I was around before, John would still smile sometimes. They were all afraid something was wrong with him. After I returned, John gradually improved, and they figured it out themselves. The day after John confessed his feelings, he told them his thoughts. Mrs. Wilson was overjoyed and told John to bring me home. John said not to rush, that we'd come back after some time. Mom said this was because John worried I might not adjust well when it comes to matters involving me. John has always been this way.